If you want to be a Google Ads freelancer or own your own Google Ads business, then content is absolutely everything. It is the lifeline of your business. It's how you're going to get leads, contacts, interviews, speaking engagements. Absolutely anything that you're going to do for your business is going to be led by content. And here's the unfortunate thing about content right now. It is really, really cheap. It's easy to find. It's anywhere. It's everywhere. It's all over the internet. Whether or not it's great, it's there. Everyone's making content. Everyone has access to the same information. And the truth is, it used to not be this way. So what do you do if you're a Google Ads freelancer? Well, your content has to be really, really, really great, or you have to make a massive, massive amount of it. Ideally, you would want to do both, but obviously that is not always realistic. If I had to pick one, I would probably say that I would pick quantity, not quality, and here's why. Because if you build the most in-depth, the best piece, the piece that answers all the questions, it can still become incredibly outdated very quickly. Also, plagiarism is rampant in the Google Ads community. I hate saying it, but it's true. So what is your best bet? It's the least viable product. That's what you're going to have to do if you want to succeed in the content game with Google Ads. So you need to ask yourself, what can I post today that I could be happy with and that I could be proud of? Where is that line? And then go ahead and post that. Not perfect, not an afterthought, just something to get the job done. Essentially keep the engine running, because that's what it is a content engine. So then how do I personally create content without burning out? Because I realize that I not only create content every single day, I create every single day across multiple platforms. LinkedIn, YouTube, blogging, other people's blogs, search engine land, now search engine journal, various podcasts, and I do it all while balancing client consulting calls. And that is the answer in this video. And here is how I do it. First of all, I schedule all my content, even if it feels wrong. And the reason it feels wrong to me is my best content comes from the heart. My best, most valuable content that reaches you guys is really what I say when I'm really incredibly in the moment. It's that thought while I'm making my coffee or doing something else in the morning. That is what tends to go viral. That's what tends to get the greatest reach. It comes from that heart and the passion. And at a certain point, what I had to do is I had to accept all that passion I have right now. It'll be passionate when it lands on someone's lap in 3 weeks. And so I sit down now and I bulk all my content. I sit down for an hour or two on a Saturday morning when my kids are asleep, and I simply write from the heart. Fellow Google Ads expert Amalia said, content surprise. That is what she labeled for her content, because when something goes live on LinkedIn, I do not know when I wrote that piece. Sometimes I'll even schedule it and think, I don't know if this is right, or I don't know if I said something like this similarly. And so what I will do is I will post it a couple months out. And then a couple months later, when that post goes live, I'm just as surprised as my audience. The second tip that I have is text to speech is absolutely amazing, or speech to text. I said that wrong. So what I will oftentimes do is I will open up a Google Doc, I'll take a walk, or I'll be doing something in the house, and I'll just start dictating it, train of thought. I'll go off on a topic, I'll say everything I think, and then I'll plug it into Gemini, or I'll plug it into ChatGPT, and I'll say, can you please format this? That piece can then become multiple pieces of content, whether it's a video script that you're seeing me go through so I don't just ramble, which I love to ramble, whether it's a LinkedIn post, or whether it's a carousel of some sort on some other platform, or a blog post later on. That is how I get my thoughts out and stop the sort of natural pause that you would have if you were typing it out, or if you had to schedule time and go to your computer. I just dictate into that doc, and I worry about formatting and getting it into a concise, readable format later on. This is also really important, and I do what's called the post and ghost. And so what I do is I post and I walk away. And I think this is really important. And frankly, scheduling helps me do this, because my post goes live and then I forget that it went live. I think what oftentimes happens is you can pour your heart and put your time and energy into content, and sometimes it just flops. It doesn't matter how long you've spent on a video, a blog, anything. The content just won't hit for whatever reason, whether it's the time of day, whether it's what's going on in the world, whether it's it hit with you and it just doesn't hit with the audience. And I think when you have that emotional attachment and you're sitting there waiting for that feedback loop and those views and those likes and that engagement, it puts you in a place of looking for something for the content, not just making content. And it's much, much easier to burn out because if I took all the pieces that don't see the light of day and just said, okay, well, that's my success, then I would not be posting content. I post so many posts that flop. And then I either come back to them later or I readjust them or I rewrite the hook if I'm really convinced that it'll work, or I'll turn it into a video, or I'll just ignore it and think, man, that did not work. But regardless, the thing that my content that flops isn't doing is burning me out. I actually can't imagine how exhausting it would be if I cared because, man, I would just be crying into my pillow every single night. Another thing is really, really stop worrying about followers. I know that it's really hard to do because it's one of those big metrics that the platform focuses on that I think to some extent some people focus on. But I'll tell you, the people that think your information is good, they don't focus on followers. They really don't care about followers. They just want the information. I've found that repeatedly in my life is that I follow someone because I like them, not because of how many followers they have. But then when we look at ourselves, we think like, oh, I can't possibly do that. I only have 10 followers. Guess what? I have 63 right now on my other YouTube. I have 109 here. Does it matter? No, it doesn't stop me from making that content. And here's the thing. There are many, many channels that I watch that I just don't want to subscribe to. I don't want to subscribe to them for numerous reasons because I'm not like fully committed, or I'm watching it and it's like a, I don't know, guilty pleasure. And I don't want to hit the subscribe button and have that commitment, or because I don't want to have to clean out my feed when I inevitably stop liking that content creator. But here's the thing, it shows up in my feed anyway because I keep watching it. So we really have had the death of the follower. And I think a lot of people know that, and we're trained to not follow as much anymore as users. And that manifests down to your channel or your platform where you're publishing content. So please, please do not worry about that. If I worried about that, I wouldn't be making any of the videos that you're seeing today. And again, another reason to burn out. I would also say lower your barriers and pick formats that work for you. So for example, for me, a barrier, I used to not do YouTube because I wanted to have like this gorgeous backdrop. And I pictured myself getting on camera and looking beautiful and put together and not being in a sweatshirt and my pajama pants and holding a microphone and just talking to camera. But at the end of the day, I was like, if that is my barrier, then I'm never going to make another video or a video. And it's just going to be just, yeah, how am I going to get the content out into the world? My kids call me the most unfunny person ever, but I'm not really that like super fast, witty person who can write short like tweets. I never really found myself to be like super great at writing over there or threads or some of those other short form content engines. And then blogs are really in depth. So I somehow chose LinkedIn. It felt like the perfect medium for me. I'm kind of long winded and not that funny, and it worked. And that's where I built my following. So just pick a platform that works for you, stick to it, and just keep going with it. I know some people have found success on shorts. I know obviously Jill has found enormous success on TikTok and is now on YouTube and LinkedIn and everywhere. Just pick one platform, enjoy it, and just make it match your personality and what you feel like you're good at. I would also say to know yourself and don't compare. Again, comparison is the thief of joy. If I looked at the other YouTubers, especially in the Google Ads space, like I wouldn't be making the content. I feel like there's a lot of men in the space for one. They're very well polished. They're making these edited videos. That's not me. I don't even know that I ever want that to be me, because for me, I want to come across as that like authentic, sit down, grab a cup of coffee, be comfortable, and frankly, talk about Google Ads stuff, talk about what it's like to freelance, give the gift to somebody else who wants to start their own business and leave a crappy agency. I want to be that type of person. And so that is the vibe that I want to portray in my videos. And so I kind of, at the end of the day, just accept who I am. And I've said this in my other videos too. I think I said it in my video when I talked about lessons I've learned owning my own business, but content is the same thing. And actually it makes sense because like the content, that's your business. That is a business in itself, is creating content. That is actually, I think, again, I'll reference Jill because I talk to her all the time. I remember I was asking her a question about what is your low ticket item? I was like, is your low ticket item your course or your coaching? And she said, no, my low ticket item is subscribing to my podcast, subscribing to my YouTube. And I'd say the same thing. My low ticket item is just liking my content and engaging with it because that brings more sort of focus on me and my value. And then it's like, okay, yeah, I'm giving you great advice on how to become a great Google Ads freelancer, but I also do Google Ads and people think about me. So again, you put good out into the world, you get good back, you have to be authentic and true to yourself to be able to give other people good content. And here's another one. And I know this is funny because it's coming from a Google Ads person, and we typically don't necessarily trust Google Ads to make decisions on our behalf. But I would say when it comes to content, trust the algorithm. And I know we want to scream at it sometimes, but I honestly have found, especially on YouTube here, if you are talking to the right audience, it will land. I think the engines and the crawlers have gotten so sophisticated. What I have heard is that they crawl like the background, your vibe, your vocal cadence, how you speak, what you say, the words that you use. It knows to connect to the right people. So I trust that algorithm. It's done right by me so far. It's done right for me on my other channel, and it continues to do right for me on this channel as well. So here's my closing advice. If you're somebody who wants to make content and wants to just do this as much as possible, start slow and just mind yourself. Don't get burned out. And so if there's any barrier or anything that makes you feel badly, just toss it to the side and do what you want to do. It is a long game. It can be a tiring game. And if you do things that make you feel badly, you're not going to be able to put out the best content. So get comfortable, own who you are, find your voice, and then just make the content and don't overthink it. I think in the end, that's the best place to start, and it'll make you proud. So thank you for watching another video. I am really thinking about building out this side of my channel, the one on Sarah Steeman. I have my other channel where I only talk about Google Ads, but that can be frankly a little bit exhausting. And so I really want to build out this channel where I talk to other freelancers, other people that are trying to build out their own Google Ads business or consulting business or make money just trying to do Google Ads. And I hope you like this video, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.